Hey y'all, IrixGuy here. Welcome back to another live show. And obviously I'm broadcasting live from the IrixGuy's Adventure Channel studio today. So if the time is approximately 7:16 p.m. New York City time, and that's right, New York City's on the East Coast of the United States of America. So I'm in North America. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started here. We got a bunch of cool stuff. First of all, I want to give a shout out to everyone. A lot of people tuned in, a lot of people following the live walk shows, which is, very non-technical. Brad, welcome aboard, sir. Good to have you. Always good to have you. Awesome. So, Brad, what's going on with the DJI FPV? I know you got the DJI FPV drone. Oh, and by the way, everyone, go to epicdroneshow.com. If you're shopping for the DJI FPV, or any of the other DJI drones, you can find them all there. So if you had any I know you've had a lot of exciting experiences with the DJI FPV. And for all the viewers out there that are watching this that are unfamiliar with the DJI FPV, you can go to epicdroneshow.com. You can find more about it there. But at a high level, it's DJI's first-person view drone. So historically, DJI has been more of a camera drone, people that want to capture videos and photos or photos. And DJI's made their first plunge into FPV, and they did that with the DJI FPV drone. So it's an opportunity for people that may be interested in, in drone racing, people that may be interested in, being able to fly a drone with a more authentic, like pilot type perspective. So, basically being in a virtual cockpit of a drone, having those FPV goggles on, those first person view goggles on, and being able to fly this virtual, well, not virtual, but it's an actual craft. So, it's one of those things. It's kind of, it's kind of well, it is actually very interesting, but it's kind of, my pain point with the DJI FPV is that, I've consulted with a bunch of people. Again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a member of the government. And I've consulted with a lot of people, and I haven't found a way to fly the DJI FPV, because if you're wearing the goggles, it's probably not permissible in a lot of countries. Kevin Ghost Needham comes in. Kevin says, I will be buying that drone as soon as I get the money for it. And remember, Irix, there is no sun glare, which is a huge plus. You know what? Kevin Ghost Needham just made a very valid point. Kevin Ghost Needham just made an exceptionally valid point, and that's there's no sun glare. So, if you're flying if you're using FPV, first-person view goggles, you've got goggles on your face, on your eyes, so there's no glare because you can't see the sun. The only thing that concerns me is that, well, you can't see the sun, so there's no glare on your device. And by the way, a lot of new devices, especially the iPhones and all of that, they're pretty good with handling glare. But to Kevin's point, that would seem to be the optimal pilot situation, to be able to have, in this scenario, you're flying a real drone in the real world, but the goggles block out the real world, and you don't have the glare, you don't have any distractions. The problem, and again, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a member of the government, but the problem that I see is that, unless someone in an authoritative position can tell me how I can use that, how can I go out and, obviously not right now because I've been, I drank a little bit of scotch, but it's single malt. But how could I go out without drinking scotch and fly a drone with, with goggles on? I want to know how, because I'd like to do it. My fear is that if I do it, I'm going to get, in trouble, and I don't want to do that, man. It's just I got too many things going on. Kevin says, Kyle says, what's up? Kevin says, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Great stuff. Cal C says, what's up, brosifs? Just these guns right here, man. Just these guns. Jake says, evening, everyone. Jake, evening. Jake or McKenna, Maya, and Katie there as well. That's the question. That is the question. So welcome aboard, everyone. Got a bunch of people tuning in. By the way, this is a live show, and actually, let me get that because I forgot to get that. Hold on 1 second here. Yeah. Yes, sir. So this is the sound of the super chat. And if you choose to super chat, again, choose, completely optional. If you choose to super chat, this sound of the super chat right here will make a sound. And it's a sound of appreciation, and I really appreciate it. But again, don't have to, completely optional. I appreciate y'all's viewership and your subscriptions more than anything else. But I've got this out. Kevin says, not if you're in the country flying it. Yeah, there you go, man. See, my thing is I want to get back out to international waters. You know, I got my boat. It's got a propeller, and you know, it can float. You know, it's a boat. It's got a propeller, and it can float. But until I can get back to international waters, I'm kind of in a pickle. You know, I really want to fly this new drone, this FPV drone, the DJI FPV drone, but I don't want to do it because, you know, if I do it on this channel, and you know, there's haters everywhere, man. You know, if I do it, then I potentially get in trouble, and I can't risk it. You know, there's there are risks in life that can be categorized as reasonable, but for me to go out and fly a drone wearing FPV goggles where I could not maintain visual line of sight. Now, here's what I want. So DJI, if you're watching this, I'm a concerned drone pilot. You know what you need to release. You probably already know. And you're probably already planning it. But what you need to release is a version 2.0. No. Let's step back from that. A version 1.b is in Bravo. I want y'all to release a version 1.bravo of the DJI FPV. And what I want you to do is carve out a little side, or maybe just make it one eye, you know, make it a one-eyed FPV experience, or put a little hole in there so I can see the drone. Because if you put a hole in your goggles where I could maintain visual line of sight, even though I've got goggles on, but where I could also maintain visual line of sight with that drone while flying, then that would probably be permissible. That's what you need to do, man. That's what you need to do. Jake says, yup, as usual. Talking about Maya, McKenna, and Katie. There you go. Very good. Kevin says, it's a Viking horn. Speaking of Viking horn, do y'all watch, there's a really good show. It's been out. It's been out a long time now, but it's really cool, and I started watching it again. Entourage. Mark Wahlberg directed it. It was on HBO. Super good show. Johnny Drama from Viking Quest. That was one of the characters in Entourage. It was a really good show. Kevin says, just buy the drone, Irix, and don't tell anyone up here you bought it. Enjoy the drone in private. But I can't enjoy it in private because, see, my enjoyment, here's the thing. You know, I could go out and, you know, and buy and play with whatever. You know, that's fine and dandy. But, you know, if all you're doing is making yourself happy, you know, maybe that's fine for some people. But for me, my happiness is getting something, whether it works well or it's poor performer or whatever, getting it and showcasing it here on IrixGuy's Adventure Channel, where you're watching this, youtube.com/IrixGuy. So if I can't comfortably do that, I can't do it. I can't do it. So we got to find a way where I can do it. So if you're a member of the FAA, if you're a member of some sort of, you know, government agency that can give me clearance, you know, in writing, you know, everything's okay, do it, because I would love to experience the DJI FPV, and I'd love to share the experience with the viewers. So Jake says, I was watching a live stream from the port of Southampton, UK. It's 3 cams that cover the ferry dock port docking area and channel, and one overlooks an oil refinery. Tonight, I draw the flare stacks light. Very cool. Kevin says, "Okay, I can understand that then." Yeah, it's disappointing. It is super disappointing. It's super disappointing because I feel super left out because DJI did not include a hole in those goggles where when I was flying that I could choose to look through that hole, without any sort of obstruction and maintain visual line of sight with that drone while flying it. DJI didn't do that. And I'm sure I'm not the only disgruntled would-be customer of the DJI FPV drone. But if they could just add that. Cal says, dude, what scotch? This is only a 14-year-old single malt. Well, it's not pure scotch. I put water and ice in it. But 14-year-old Glenmorangie. Yep. Appreciate it. Kevin says, are there any places around you with nothing but country where you could fly? Yeah, a bunch of places, man. Turks and Caicos. Not on the mainland, obviously, not on Providencialis or any of that, but the outlying islands and, getting out towards, when I'm in international waters, I can do that. But when I'm stuck in Georgia, not on the other side of the pond, but Georgia and the United States of America, there's not a lot of options. And that's where I'm in a pickle. That's why I'm in a pickle. So what if I bought a DJI FPV drone? And what if I got a drill and drilled out one of those sides so I could maintain visual line of sight constantly with that drone while flying? My only fear is that if I did that, I'd probably break it and the FPV wouldn't work. So DJI, can you provide a workable solution, a working solution for me and potentially hundreds of thousands of other people that would love to fly an FPV drone but are afraid to fly an FPV drone because of potential regulatory issues? Again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a member of the government, and I'm not So Drone Ready. Drone Ready, welcome aboard. Drone is ready. Drone Ready, what's your ready drone? Which drone are you ready with? Jake says, I saw the flare stacks light. I should say all 4 tonight. So they must do most gas burn off at night around midnight in UK time, so about 15 hours ahead of Canada and the USA, the United States of America. Kyle says, good choice. Drone Ready, travelers, rest sea here, great flying areas here, never had any issues here, and been flying drones since 2011. Okay. Travelers rest South Carolina, SC, South Carolina, is that where you are? I mean, not, if you want to tell me where you are, that's cool. Kyle C says, I might partake myself. I got a nice smoky Islay I've been meaning to crack open. And then Drone Ray says, Mavic Mini, Air, Autel Evo, and a Nafi. Nafi! Wah, 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 wah! Whatever, man, a Nafi. A Nafi. A Nafi was a pretty interesting drone. And it's funny that you mentioned the Anafi last, even though it starts with the letter A as an alpha. It's pretty fascinating, dude. So Anafi. Anafi was Parrot's first sincere acknowledgement that they wanted to become a serious drone brand. Parrot, they're from the France. Hey, we're French. Hey, man, we're French. We French. That's not insulting to French. I just can't speak French. But, so they're like, we want to, or whatever. I mean, I don't know how they would say it, but, they want to compete. They want to compete. Parrot, a French company, wants to compete. France, come on. You can make some awesome breakfasts. I mean, you go to a French area. I love to go to St. Bart's. And every time I go there, I get a great breakfast. Their bread is awesome. They know what's up. But when it comes to drones, Parrot, with Anafi, that you just mentioned, Anafi, they strongly suggested that they wanted to become a serious drone brand. They wanted to become a serious drone manufacturer. They wanted to become a competitor of the leading drone manufacturer, which is arguably DJI. Call me a DJI fanboy. That's fine. I like DJI. But out of all the drone brands that are not DJI, Parrot is the only one with Anafi that suggested that they want to compete. But where have they been? Have they been sitting around and eating a croissant? Have they been sitting around and drinking some sort of French beverage or whatever? Where have they been? Why have they not released Anafi 2? They had so much that they could have learned from the Parrot Anafi. Did they learn it? Or did they just not care? They say, we want to be a toy brand. We don't care about serious drone competition. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they think. So let's see what we got here. We got Kevin says, Irix, is that DJI FPV a drone you think would like to fly and enjoy it? I would love to fly and enjoy it. I would love to get my paws, and I could. I mean, all you got to do if you're looking for the DJI FPV or any of the other drones, just head on over to epicdroneshow.com, and you can find them all there and all the accessories. But it's not a matter of the want and the need. It's a matter of what could happen if I did take that plunge. And I'm all about risk, and there's certain situations where there's a reasonable degree of risk. I mean, my backdrop right now, this island that I'm virtually sitting on right now, this is off of St. Martin's East End, the French side of St. Martin. I got in a kayak and went all the way. See that in the background? That's St. Martin, the French side. I paddled all the way from there, went over to this island that I'm virtually sitting on right now, had great food, drank a bunch of awesome drinks. The lemon ice drinks were incredible. And then I paddled back. So, no motor vehicle involved or whatever. But, that was a reasonable degree of risk. But when it comes to the drone, when it comes to the DJI FPV, unless I'm in international waters, if I'm in a lot of countries, the fact that I can't maintain visual line of sight with that drone, with that DJI FPV while flying it with the goggles, makes it to where I question, can I do this? Well, I mean, as a human being, I could do it. But from a potential legal risk perspective, I'm not going to subject myself to that. Unless you give me something in writing that clears me to do so. And if in that scenario, I'd love to do it. Jake says, oil rigs and refinery often do this. I think it's methane gas that gets burnt off at night. It looks awesome. I've seen offshore oil rigs burning off gas on the flare stacks at night mostly. Yeah, those oil rigs, man. I like getting down. Sometimes I'll go down there just to eat oysters, raw oysters on the half shell. I'll go down to. I got a few places that I own down in. There's a place called the Panhandle of Florida. Florida's that state right down beside Georgia, and I go down there and stay in these places and get raw oysters on the half shell. Make my own cocktail sauce, ketchup, Worcestershire, lemon juice, horseradish, a little bit of Tabasco, freshly ground black pepper, a little bit of garlic powder, or, crushed fresh garlic clove if you got it. Make you a good cocktail sauce. Eat those oysters raw in the half shell. Appalachia Cola. Put you a little saltine in there. Good stuff. And then we've got, Jake says, since French is our second language here in Canada, I know French, but not fully yet. Yeah, it's a complicated language, man. Yeah, it's That's one thing. Every time I go down to St. Bart's, because that's a French island, I got kind of a redneck accent. I guess you'd say I kind of got a redneck accent, but they understand me and I understand them, and it's incredible. I mean, French people they're the best food people. They really are. And I like Southern food too, don't get me wrong, but they're completely different. I don't deep fry a croissant. But when I'm in French places like St. Bart's, I always eat that. Let's see, we got Kevin. Nice. Kyle C says, just tell them if you have an issue, here's a tissue. There you go. You know what? And that's a great point. Because see, in this society within which we all live right now, the problem is that there's something called, people are just too easily offended. I mean, people could be offended because this laptop is gold. They're like, man, why'd you get gold instead of space gray or silver? I hate gold. That offends me. People could get offended because I've got cotton in my t-shirt, and they're like, dude, that's not synthetic or whatever. That offends me. People could get offended because my hair is slightly gray instead of, maybe I didn't put like any sort of hair dye in it or whatever. People can get offended for everything. And, that's the problem with society today is that, there's too much political correctness. People allow themselves to become too easily offended. Lighten up, man. Just enjoy life. Have a good time. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's ridiculous. The state, and not just a particular country, but, the world as a whole. I mean, we are on the brink of social collapse. And what I mean by that is that, the world is going through such a, here's the thing. I don't care what people do. I don't care what people say. Do what you want to do. I don't care. Do what you want to do. The problem is now is that because of the media, that people, it's all this conflict's been created. There shouldn't be any conflict. And that's the beauty of YouTube. You can say what you want to say. You can do what you want to do. I'm here for everybody. I got friends from around the world. I go around the world. I don't judge anyone. I like everyone. I mean, I really do. Not everyone likes me, which is fine. And that's fair. You're subject to your own opinion. But this political correctness stuff has got to stop. And I mean, this world as a whole is about to collapse if we're not careful. I mean, it's pathetic. Kyle C says, French food is incredible. Yes, it is, man. It really is. It's, they put a lot of pride in it. And the thing is, it's like, when it comes to food, whatever you've grown up eating and cooking, whatever you've grown up, eating when you travel and this, that, and the other, it's, experiencing the different stuff is really cool. And I will say actually, without a doubt, one of the best meals I've ever had. And it was completely different because it was you got different. You've got, let's see here. Let's see. You've got, what am I trying to say? You're used to eating what you want to eat. Whether it's like Cajun food or whether it's, Northeastern food. You go up to New York City, you got the pizza and the pasta. One of the best things I had, man. So we'll go two different spectrums here. One of the best things I had was in a place called Morristown, New Jersey. I don't know where it was, man. I flew into Newark Airport in New Jersey, and you get off the plane. It's pretty much it's like, and I'm not trying to give the place a bad name, but it's pretty much like all you smell is like you smell body odor and cigarette smoke and smog like from all the factories. And I'm not trying to give the place a bad name, but you leave the Newark Airport and then you get on that road. And it's like, man, I've seen this road. Where have I seen this road? Well, I've seen the road in Sopranos. Remember The Sopranos? awesome miniseries. So I've seen that road. So I'm driving down that road, and then I end up in a place called Morristown, New Jersey. And I forget the name of the restaurant, but I was up there. I run a bunch of different businesses, this, that, and the other. But I was up there doing some consulting work, and decided to go out and get something to eat. Didn't really know anything about the area. Actually, this was before sites like Google Maps, where you get the Google reviews, and TripAdvisor were really prevalent. So it was more of a go out, scope out the territory on your own, see where a lot of people are, and just kind of fill it out. So I ended up in this place in Morristown, New Jersey, and I don't remember the name of it, but it was really cool. It had glass. It was like the outside of it was glass windows you could see in. You could see the kitchen area. This is an Italian restaurant. You could see the kitchen area, and you could see the dining area. And everybody, and I shouldn't overgeneralize, but it looked like everybody in there was like straight up Italian, like everybody cooking. So then I go in, I sit down, and I was just on business. I was in there eating by myself, right? And sit down in this restaurant in Morristown, New Jersey, and the chef comes out. He's got on a chef outfit, looks like an Italian like Chef Boyardee dude, like pretty cool. So he comes out, he talks to me, he's like, and I said, well, what do you recommend? I mean, he's a chef, he's probably the owner of the restaurant, and he recommended this ravioli, and I said, well, I noticed you don't have any wine on your menu, and I thought that was strange, but at that particular time, and I don't know if it's still the case, but you couldn't really get anything in there. So anyway, I ended up somehow magically getting a glass of wine. I got ravioli, awesome ravioli, had some awesome cheese stick type things for appetizer, and then this cannoli for dessert that was phenomenal. And I mean, you're talking about authentic food. That was authentic, super duper authentic Italian cuisine in Morristown, New Jersey. I wish I remember the name of the place. I mean, it was phenomenal. It really was. And that was one of those experiences. And on a different spectrum, not Italian food, which I don't cook Italian. I mean, I don't have any Italian ancestors. I don't have anything that would enable me to learn the craft of cooking proper Italian food. And on the other side of the spectrum, I was in St. Kitts in the British West Indies. Completely different type of cuisine, but I went to a place there, and I do remember the place, and the name of the place was called the Spice Mill, and the Spice Mill is in St. Kitts. If you're ever in St. Kitts, you need to get reservations. You need to eat the Spice Mill. Everything they fix, everything they prepare, there's a lot of seafood dishes to be expected. It's an island, but everything is exceptionally well. I don't know. It's the local spices, the Kittitian craft. Kittitians are people from, that's what the locals from St. Kitts are called Kittitians, and just their selection of spices, their preparations that they've learned and perfected throughout the generations. I mean, it's phenomenal food. It's not anything that I could ever reproduce, but it's part of the thrill, is experiencing all of these different types of food from around the world. Things that you might be able to train yourself eventually to try to somewhat reproduce, but you'll never truly reproduce it because it's it's so different that you can't. It would be difficult to try to reproduce that quality. Having not grown up cooking Italian food or Kittitian food, it would be really hard to do. And another place was in let's see, what was Bajan food. Bajan, when you're getting close to Barbados and all of that, the Bajan food's completely different. It's funny to say this, but I mean, when you're someone that grew up grilling steaks and burgers and hot dogs and smoking ribs and that sort of stuff, a lot of different cultures they use the same meats, but they do it in a different way, completely different spices, completely different preparations. I mean, it's really, really cool, what all is out there from a food perspective. So something I encourage every viewer of this channel to do in addition to subscribing to the channel, which is super important, youtube.com/IrixGuy, is, when time permits, getting out and, exploring the world and just sampling the food, the different types of cuisine from different parts of the world, stuff that you would not know how to cook, or stuff that you may not have even thought about trying to cook, and trying that, and, really opening your mind as a foodie, because it's a really cool thing. Jake says that accident caused one of the worst oil well gushers in the year. The Deepwater Horizons exploded. I remember that. And actually, I was at a Jimmy Buffett concert shortly after that Deepwater Horizons exploded, because I saw Jimmy Buffett, and this was back in, was it right after 2009, or maybe right? Yeah, was it after or right around? But I was there in a place called Gulf Shores, Alabama, which is not far from the Florida Panhandle, and I was down there, and that was right after the Deepwater Horizon oil spill. But it was on the beach in a place called Gulf Shores, Alabama, Jimmy Buffett and the Coral Reefers. And it was so hot that on this, it was a public beach area, but there were so many people, and it was so hot that even wearing a swimsuit and getting in the beach shower, and everybody was fighting for it because it was so hot. It was so hot that getting under that, you couldn't even cool off. You could chug the beers they had. I think his big beer there was the Land Shark beer. You could do all of that, and you still couldn't cool down. It was actually so hot that I've never been sick from heat exhaustion, but I got sick from heat exhaustion that day. It was crazy, but it was cool. I mean, it was Jimmy Buffett on the beach, man. It was a free concert. Jake says, me too, Irish guy. I've got some overseas friends in Europe, some in the U.S., and some in Asia. And Jake says, and one in India. Very cool, very cool. Yeah, having an international and culturally diverse set of friends is super important, because, if the only people that you associate with are people in your local area, that's cool. I mean, some people do that, but when you get out and meet people from around the world, I mean, that's the best thing, because I mean, most every culture is different. And there's things that you do, there's things that they do, and it's really cool to experience the things that that different cultures do. And I mean, it's not just related to food. I mean, for me, everything is heavily linked to food, because I enjoy food. Not only do I enjoy travel, but I enjoy food, and that's why I'm excited for this pandemic to come to a close, so I can travel without having to wear a mask on an airplane and get a stick shoved up my nose if I walk in the airport. So I'm super excited to get back on the quest for international cuisine. That's one of my one of my top priorities. It always will be here on Irish Guys Adventure Channel, youtube.com/IrixGuy's. So, that being said, it's super important to keep on traveling, man. Regardless of what the the situation may be, keep on traveling, because if you don't travel, you're not going to get these good things. And if you don't travel, you're not going to support the local businesses that need everyone's support. So that's super important to remember. And speaking of what else to remember, it is about time for some tacos. So I'm going to get some tacos. I appreciate everyone tuning in. Again, welcome back to the Irish Guys Adventure Channel studio. I try to do a ton of live shows from the studio. If you'd like to be a guest on an upcoming live show, and it's free to do, you can join in through Skype. I'll send you a link. Or you can call the studio's phone number, and I can conference you in on this here thing you call it. But, yeah, it's been fun. So appreciate y'all's viewership. Be safe. Subscribe. ring that bell icon when you do, and that'll notify you whenever I post another video. And most importantly, y'all have a good day.